Okay, I think we're live. I'm going to, yep, session 4 is live. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so we are going to start with, go back to the classroom chat. Okay. We're going to be starting on timing your code. And we're going to time some stuff we've already done, and then I'm going to let you guys go and do that, and we'll break for lunch. So time your code. This is probably not going to come up in your job interview. It might. I've asked people this, just depending on the type of project I was working on. So data scientists, oftentimes that role, or data analysts, that role, don't write production ready code. And what that means is large companies will hire on a machine learning engineer or a data engineer, analytics engineer, to make sure your code can kind of run in production and work at a speed that they need, especially if they're serving your models in real time, like you're working at any of the big companies who are A/B testing to everyone across the world to improve sales. It can be a real problem if your code is a drag on that. There's also major problems with the server time needed to compute. Servers cost money. There's usually a budget associated with the money it costs to run those servers. So being a data scientist who is conscious of that makes you an asset. And most of you guys will end up having to start your career kind of operating in a dual role. I still do it till today, basically because I work in consulting. And so I often work in multiple roles. Keeps my day interesting. But oftentimes you're going to start your career in a situation where you're either a dual data scientist, data engineer, or data scientist, machine learning engineer, or data analyst, data scientist, et cetera, so forth. And a lot of people can say, don't do it. There, whatever. You have no experience. I'm sorry. So you just get over that and do the job, suffer for 2 years, make more. I know someone who is leaving my current company and is going to rank at a role lower than me, is going to be making more than me somewhere else. So do your 2 roles in a job that requires you to play a lot of hats, and someone will find that valuable. Like you actually sit there and you learn that while you're there, it'll work out. So anyway, I digress. A lot of digression. So timing your code, and what does that look like? So we're in Jupyter Notebooks. In theory, I can just do this magic right here, and it'll time my cell. So I can just paste this here, and it's going to give me the time it took to run it. This is great for when you're kind of building your code in a notebook and you don't actually, you're testing it for running, you haven't delivered it or anything yet. But if you're the one delivering your model to like a Docker container, now bringing up more words that I have to explain, like a containerized environment, or you're sending it to a server for production, this is not how you want to do it, because you're going to put your code into multiple files and compile it to run, right? Well, not compile it, but like get it to run. And so you're going to want to actually import the Python package this is based on, or one of them. I'm actually not sure which one is based on, but there's multiple ones you can do. And so, for example, you're going to import from timer, import timer. And let me make sure that's big enough on the screen. That's the biggest comment I get. Okay. So we're going to pull this down, this code here, and we imported timer. And I have my function, and I'm going to put this here. All right. We're going to add in some timer stuff to this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go time, or T. We can do T, timer. Right. We're going to start a timer. We're going to start it here. I'm going to end my timer here. And it's going to run everything in between. And actually, it's not end. Start is stop. Okay. And before my return statement. And that should give me, from timer, no import name. Did I import this wrong? From timer, import time. Import, can I import timer from time? I'm wondering if I imported it wrong. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I did. I didn't make a timer class. I need to import time. Import time. There we go. And I import time, and I need to actually time it. And you can create a separate class to do this. I know those instructions are there. I'm not going to do that. We haven't talked about classes, so we're just going to start the timer. And it's going to be time dot start. And actually, I'm going to pull up the documentation real quick. And let me share that screen. 1 second. Let me share that. Okay, so this is time. It's built in. It's going to pull in its own set of functions that I can get. So, for example, it can get time, right? Process time. I think I want time. Performance counter. It can get any of the timestamps, like it, in Pandas, you'll notice they have this. It's really much pulled from here, really. Everyone uses very similar stuff in this case. So we're going to see time.time or time.return the value in seconds of the performance count clock is the highest available resolution. Changed the Windows function as system wide. Good to know. So what we can do, it's not the right page. This one. I believe if I can do performance counter, okay, let's do it like this. So I have time. Let's do let's start there and see that first and see if it will. No, did not print. Did I say print? Okay, let me add a print statement. It's print, and we're going to have F, and I'm going to save this to T, and print T, and we're going to make sure this is in quotes, so it doesn't take it as a little statement. Okay, so it's printing. So we looked at the first 9, right? It printed for each single one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If I wanted to print for the entire end to end, I think I'd have to subtract. Let's call this S, since it's not full time. This is going to be start time, and this is going to be stop time, and that'll be stop time minus start time. All right. That's unfortunate because it's in seconds. Okay. What do I want to do? We can round this. We can round This is a part of the syntax you'll have to learn that'll round the output of whatever is here. And yeah, so that just is too far rounded. Let's put 6. Okay. But the thing is, I'm guessing because it's a for loop, so each time it ran, how long did that for loop last to run it? I'm not going to put this here. I'm going to move this, and I want to know the whole run. I'm going to put this code here instead, because that's going to run each time in here. And I want to know the entire run. And okay, that's so it's still giving for each one. What am I doing wrong? What a day. You know, I think I'm gonna have to. I'm missing something around the loop of it. It's just been so long. It's like it's not managing the context. Anyway, you won't need to know this specifically for a job interview. It's good if you could tell them that you do know the package to use and can create the code to do it. I oftentimes, again, I mostly use this one because I really don't have to submit my code. I can just and it'll run. See, it runs for all of them. It's still doing it. I'm thinking it's because it's for everyone in the loop. That's fine. I mean, yeah, it ran too many times. I mean, it was quick, but it ran too many times. I'm gonna have to think about that. I thought I had worked this out, but I guess I didn't. Not for demonstration. But it's good to know anyway. Actually, am I even showing the right screen? No, I'm not. I'm going to need to get me. Well, I guess I'll just wait until I'm big enough to care to get my instructional designer here to help. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, now you should be able to see my screen. So here, if I run, this is called a magic, Jupyter Magic. It will run for all the loops and print out the here. But if I run it according to like the package, let's say I have, yeah, it'll come out this is like the overall after it prints out all the loops. We don't want that. We're trying to get all loops by itself, but if I want time, perform, counter, it'll do the counter for each one and how long each one took. It's also not quite what we want. We want to get the time of the total, which means I'm gonna have to do some subtraction. But I forgot how off the top of my head. I believe maybe. I don't think a decorator would help in this case, like a time decorator that I put on the function. It'll run for every time it's run still because it just wraps it. But that is decorators are not today. Decorators are more on my brain. Hopefully we'll be more awake for that discussion. Um, much more awake for that discussion. Um, maybe return the fractional sum system the current process. What is process time? Let's see if process time will work. 29 seconds. Yeah, there we go. A pick of seconds. Yeah. So we ran on, but this is the one I wanted, process time. I'm going to need process time in, process time is a float. So if you're on the documentation page, python.org documentation page, process time comes back in nanoseconds. So this is not seconds. Don't mistake that as seconds. That is going to be hold on, is it seconds? No. Return a fractional second. It's a fraction of seconds of the sum of the system. Processors are dominant. Yeah. Because if I run it as a pick a second, so you'd have to, let me see the difference real quick. Yeah, we don't want that level of precision. But this is, I would want to have that converted. Also, one very useful thing with time is sleeping your function. So if you're having trouble pulling within the time that you need it to sleep, so you're not pulling too much at one time from the server, you can actually just tell your code to wait and then start over based on sleeping it. Very useful if you have to do any type of data engineering. You're not a data engineer, your code is just inefficient. Common problem I have all the time. So I think that covers, we did variables, we did if else, we did for, we did list comprehensions, we went over the timer. I think that covers everything for this session. If you have questions, again, you want to use the class forum because I can't check YouTube questions all at the same time. It's just not going to work out. So if you can go to the class forum, the link to the class, you sign up to the newsletter, and they actually that won't work because it's not connected anymore because it's past the time to start. Okay, but if you need access to the class, it's best if you just comment on the channel, and I'll get you access when I check this. So it'll take a minute. What we'll do for, we're about to basically go on lunch break, finish testing how to play with time, look at the documentation, subtract and minus stuff, test your code that you already written to see if you can run process time or time it in it, and be sure to ask questions in the forum. All right, I will talk to you guys next session. I think that starts at 12:30 Central. And what will we be doing? We will be doing dictionaries and sets. And actually, I'm probably going to get rid of the second dictionaries and sets. 6. Yeah, we will only need 1 hour for the dictionary and sets. So I'm going to stop the last one. And if you have questions, just let me know. Tomorrow we'll cover sort algorithms and then interview questions. For most of the time for Python, we'll go over classes of dictionary decorators briefly. I think unless you're becoming a developer, knowing them is good. Being able to set up your code in them is good. You're not going to be interviewed on that necessarily unless you're becoming like engineering roles, which I don't think most of you want that. But if it is, I'll go over it in more detail another time. I'm getting less and less in the code as my career progresses, so it's kind of unfortunate. I kind of set up the experiments and people code the code for me. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys next time.